Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with one of my best friends, whom I hate, named Messiah. And she did something really interesting where she went on Omi TV and talked to people about the current Israel Hamas situation without telling people what her background is. But for now, I want to tell us, Messiah, what is your background religiously and ethnically?
So I grew up, so my mom's Japanese, so she's Buddhist. My dad is a secular Jew. So I consider myself pretty like non-religious, but culturally I'm Jewish. For me, being Jewish is part of my identity, just like being Japanese is, so it's very important.
But you don't believe in God.
No, I don't.
Okay, yeah, so you are culturally Jewish. Okay. And then, but you currently live in America, and have you ever
Yeah.
visited Israel or something?
Yep, I've been to Israel before. I went on a birthright trip. So birthright trip is where you get a bunch of like American Jews and you get them connected with being Jewish. And I was pretty detached to being Jewish, you know. I didn't tell a lot of people I was like Jewish really.
Yeah.
And I went on the trip. I got to go to Tel Aviv. I got to go to Jerusalem. I got to go to Eilat, Tisbat, the Sea of
Okay.
Galilee. I went all over,
Nice,
and
nice.
I actually did a Bar Mitzvah there.
Oh, okay. And would you say, okay, do you believe that Israel, the state of Israel, has a right to exist?
Yeah, of
Okay. Do you believe
course,
that there should be a Palestinian state?
of course.
Okay, fair enough. Now tell me, what was your experience like interviewing, uh, you know, Arabs and non-Arabs and Jews and non-Jews?
So, so I got to interview, Palestinians and Israelis from different towns.
Right.
For the Palestinians, I made sure to ask where they're from because that influences their answers. And coming into it, I was actually scared to tell Palestinians I was Jewish, actually,
Mhm.
because, you guys see the poll numbers, you see the support for Hamas, especially in the West Bank, Gaza Strip. I gotta look at the numbers, but the education system to boot. So I was very afraid. But I found that it was mixed, actually. So I guess I'll start with the Palestinians first,
Okay, we'll
and
start.
then kind of get into the Israelis next. And I was sort
Okay.
of divided into the racist ones versus the non-racist ones,
Okay.
rather than like lumping everybody together. But I got to talk to, I guess, do you want me to start with the racist ones, the non-racist ones, or
I think if I was a audience of this video, I would be super curious about the racist ones. So, okay,
racist?
so wait,
So we'll start with
which side had more
racist.
racists? Were there more racists on the Palestinian side or is it?
Mm, I think it's like a mix of both, honestly.
Oh, I'm
I
surprised.
wish I could say that it was more Palestinian because I think that's what people would want me to say. But honestly, because both sides are very like, upset at each grievance that their side is having, that both are kind of angry, but for different reasons.
Okay.
So, so for the Palestinians, we'll start with the races for each side first. So just so you can see the contrast, I guess.
Okay.
So I think that the Palestinian race and have a lot in common, even though the grievances are different.
Hmm.
So for the Palestinian racist, they want a one-state solution,
Oh,
all Palestine, right?
okay.
Which is not surprising. And they don't want Israelis in it, because I asked them, do you want to have Israelis living amongst you? They told me no, and these were from the Palestinians from Jerusalem. So I've been to the holy city. It's a high tense area. You got the Temple Mount, you got the Al Aqsa Mosque,
Hmm.
something which the Israelis I spoke to complain that they can't pray there freely.
That's
They,
true.
they get attacked.
Yeah.
So it's a high volume area, and then there's Area C, which is,
Yeah.
I guess, East Jerusalem, I think, with the Arab quarter, where when I was going in Jerusalem, they told us not to go there because there's a fear that we could get attacked, right?
Yes.
If you're Jewish, you get attacked there.
Yeah.
So, it's a high tense volume situation. And
Yeah.
so a lot of them, they've interacted with Israelis. They know three languages: English, Hebrew, and Arabic. They do businesses with Israelis,
Hmm.
and yet they told me that they wanted them out. And I said, where do you want them going? And what I noticed from Palestinians in general is that a lot of them are like, they're not as blunt as Israeli
Yeah.
Jews are, or just Israelis in general.
Yeah.
Like, they tell you something, but you have to press on them further for them to actually tell you what they think.
Yeah.
So one of them said, like, we want them to go to the UK. The original Jews should go to the UK. It's like, okay.
Okay.
You know, and then when I asked these Israeli Jews, they're like, well, we don't feel safe there either. And then one of them said they should go to Florida. And I've heard this before by some people, you know, because Florida's like a tropical climate. There's a big Jewish community. I think Fort Lauderdale has a really big Jewish community.
Yeah.
And so, like, they feel as though that, oh, Jews should go there. But the thing is, you know, just like Palestinians have a home, they don't know anywhere else. I sometimes see from people who say things like, well, can't they just fuck off and go to another, like, Arab country? You can't really say that about Jews because Jews only have Israel, really, but
That's true.
it's
Yeah.
like that's not their home. You know, when I think about it from, you know, just, you know, thinking about it from the outsider's perspective,
Yeah.
this is their home too.
Yep.
They don't know anywhere else. And like, just like I wouldn't tell Jews, hey, go back to wherever, right?
Yeah.
Europe, Middle East.
No. Yeah.
I wouldn't tell who might have roots in like Jordan. Jordan, there's a lot of Palestinian refugees. Syria, I believe. I wouldn't tell them to fuck off and go there because, you know, like, I just want to do that. So,
Yep.
when I heard that, I tried to dispel that and say, you know, this is ethnic cleansing. And what they, you know, hear, right, you know, from the racist Palestinian is that, you know, they've been tormented by IDF soldiers. That's why with the second person I spoke to,
Yeah.
they, you know, were very extreme also. They wanted the same thing as the other Palestinian from Jerusalem wanted, you know, the racist one. They wanted a one state, no Israelis. And, you know, I told them, like, I spoke to Israelis, and they're like, you have Israeli friends. And I brought up, you know, someone in our server that I know pretty well. And they're like, they kill kids. I'm like, my friend has never heard a single Palestinian child. You know,
Yeah.
they're just living in Israel, living their life. And they told me that no civilian was targeted on October 7th. This is the kind of stuff that Hamas likes to say on mainstream media, is that they were trying to go after military targets. We know that clearly they didn't. They went after the people in the Nova Music Festival. They stormed up the border wall. They attacked civilians. And, you know, they were repeating that, you know, one line. And, you know, it's almost as if whenever I said that, they equated it to me like not caring about what's going on. And I don't care about that are dealing with the humanitarian crisis.
Right.
And so they had this, you know, mentality from them. And from their perspective, again, I'm not like justifying any of the comments at all. You know, I'm here to do a social analysis for, you know, what I'm hearing from them, which is that, you know, IDF soldiers have, you know, killed a lot of their civilians. They see bombings of hospitals, just all sorts of things.
Right. We'll get to that, but just like, so from the people that you met, so yeah, you met two people that were. Did you meet any Palestinian that was a pro two-state solution?
No, they all wanted a one state with everybody equal.
Wow. Okay. Did you meet any Israeli that wanted two-state?
Yeah. Well, actually, all the Israelis, even as
All of them
bleak as they
wanted
were.
two-state?
Actually, one wanted a one state. Actually, sorry, one wanted a one state. But all the Israelis, when I pressed them and said, like, what if there was peace? They all said two state, because for Palestinians, they're fine having a one with everyone in it, you know. But from an Israeli point of view, and again, using Jewish history here, they're afraid, one, that there's going to be tension because that's what's happening now. But also as Jews, every single place that we've been to, Middle East, you know, that America, anywhere, we've
Northern
never been
Africa.
welcome.
No, exactly. Like right now, all the Jews from Northern Africa and the Middle East are expelled and to go to Israel. While Palestinians could live in any country, and so that's the weird.
Right. So in a sense that, you know, the Jews have been like everywhere. And so they don't want to be a minority because they know that that's never going to end well. And people might think that that's like, you know, just a fear. Like I hear from like these, like a sort of like a, you know, colonialist fear or whatever, but that's happened throughout history. I
Right.
can't just ignore that and
Well, okay.
pretend like that's
Yeah.
not a possibility.
No, but in like they okay, Jews in like Canada and US, have been able to live as a minority peacefully. But you're talking about like as a minority in a Middle East slash North Africa
Well,
state. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
well, well,
They've
yeah,
never.
Middle East. You're
Yeah,
right, right.
they
Where it's majority Arab. Yeah,
yeah, they're done.
that
There's never. I don't think there's any country that's majority Arab or even majority
well,
Muslim that allows
because I'll ask, right?
mm,
To anyone who doesn't, understand Jewish history,
mm.
what happened to the Jews in Algeria? There's hardly any. There's like one Jew in like Yemen.
I'm aware.
Where
Yeah,
are they
yeah,
in? Where like
I'm
I
aware.
mean, I know you know this, but not everyone knows this though. So
Yep.
I feel like I do have to say something to those who are ignorant and don't know that. What happened to the Jew? They were kicked out, right? There were
Mm,
riots, there were all sorts of things happening,
yep.
right? And so, Jews know for a fact that when they're a minority, things do not, especially since
Yeah.
again Europe, yes, but like we're talking
Yeah.
Middle East,
In Middle
it
East, yeah,
doesn't go over,
it
it
doesn't go
doesn't
over.
go over well.
Yep.
And so they don't want to be a minority. And,
Mm,
you know, there could be another fear that they could be having is like, what if there's like revenge maybe? Because they could be angry at everything
yeah.
Israel's done to them, that they might
Mm,
inflict it upon the civilians possibly.
yeah.
You know, the pragmatic, like who's going to rule it.
Mm,
And also the other thing that they complain also is that Israel, compared to the rest of the Middle East, that is, it's more progressive, more liberal,
okay.
right? Like Israel has problems, obviously. It's not perfect. Like obviously LGBTQ rights, when it comes to getting married, I think like, you can do it online. It's a bit weird, how stuff goes. But compared to like the rest of its neighbors, it's a lot
The
more
only one.
liberal.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, no, we'll,
Right.
we'll get back to it. Let's focus on the interviews because I don't want to like extend the video. So, okay,
Okay.
when you talk about the racism, are you saying? So you said you met racists on both sides. Did you
Yeah, so
meet
I'll
when you say racist? Do you mean racist against like black people or just racist against Arabs and Jews? What kind?
Arabs. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean some Asians too. So for these Israeli Arabs, right?
Mm,
So they look at, for Palestine, right? I described why they have these feelings, right? So for Israelis,
yep.
they look at October 7th, right?
Mm,
And I saw the videos, right? There were Gazans that were, you know,
mm,
participating actively.
yep.
You noticed that UNRWA schools, right?
Mm,
There's a scandal about them hiding these hostages, right? This
mm,
is again a UN agency, people that are for Palestinian refugees, and some of them like doing I guess some of them like on a group chat supporting October 7th.
mm,
They've seen like the fact that Palestinians are taught to hate Jews or hate them. They also see like in the West Bank, I think it was, and the video is online, you can look at it. I think
yes.
Hinduistic Times has the video where they passed out candy, like whenever they attack Jews on a high holiday. And then to top it all off, you have the peace deals, right? That
Mm,
they withdrew from the Gaza Strip. They got rocket attacks. They get rocket attacks. The other thing that they've told me was like, we've also given them water, before this, conflict, right? That they've given them what they and all they do instead of actually building up a country is Hamas just uses that and just fires at Israel. So they feel like everything they do is like a middle finger,
mm.
and so they just lash out, and so they say things like I want to kill all the Arabs, I hate them,
Wait.
or
Okay.
they're all
Wait. When they say like I want to kill all the Arabs, do they mean the Arabs in Gaza or the Arabs in the world? I think they mean the Gaza ones.
oh, Gaza, yes.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if that applies to the Arab citizens of Israel. I don't know if they feel that way, but Gazans, yes. Yes,
Okay.
effectively,
Okay.
I would say Palestinians as a whole, because I don't
Yeah.
think they make a distinction, right? West Bankers, Gazans, like doesn't matter.
Right. And speaking of those, have you noticed the difference from the Palestinian side in how they talk to you, the West Bankers versus the Gazans?
I never asked them about the West Bankers, personally. But I think like there's a nationalistic element. So I think
Hmm.
they, just kind of view them as Palestinians, you know. I don't think it matters to them whether they're Gazan or West Banker. Because if,
Hmm.
they have this idea they want to take back the country, well, yeah, that applies to Palestine, but that also there are Palestinians that live in Israel that I heard. someone said they had them as a neighbor that has the same vision and goal. So,
Hmm.
uh, so it extends sometimes to some of the Arabs who live in Israel, right? They interact with Israelis on a daily basis, and
Right.
yet some of them have that same attitude also.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, yeah, so you met uh, Israelis and Palestinians. Both of them, you said, had racists, but
Mhm.
only the Palestinians were the ones that wanted one state, while Israelis were like half and half. There were some two states on one state.
Yeah,
Okay.
only one wanted one state, but the rest wanted two state. Yeah, correct.
Okay. And I'm going to put in the description all the links of your adventure because you wrote beautifully a lot of things you did. Um,
I did.
I want to end in like 3 more minutes. So, is there anything you wish to add? Uh, or should we save it
Um,
for the next video?
I guess like just anything about like the remarks.
Mm,
I think one thing I learned from doing what I've been doing is I've actually been using the fact that I'm Jewish to my advantage actually.
mm,
With Israel, when they're being I try to because I'm gonna tell everyone on the stream actually that this thing
mm.
is my family. So I had a family member who actually went to the British Mandated Palestine, what's now Israel,
Okay.
and they got shot by a Palestinian sniper. No,
Oh.
no one knows this, but that actually it's a family story. They were tending fruit.
Mm,
So this is a story that I use to bridge a gap. I tell Israel that, yeah, I know Gazans are suffering way worse, but I had this experience, right? Taken by that you guys are also angry at. But,
mm,
that I'm still not hateful. I still do not hate. I still have so much like respect interpersonally. And for Palestinians, I say the same thing. I go,
mm,
you have your story on this land. My family had,
mm,
what happened to them beyond my control, right? They
mm.
chose to do this. And we talk about a shared humanity. And if somebody doesn't want peace, right, whether it's a racist or Palestinian, then I don't need them. What use are they for me, but for all the peaceful ones? If the leaders won't do it, right? If no one's going to do it, you need the people on the ground to do it. And that's
Interesting.
my hope is that I can bridge the gap and maybe a Palestinian who's never talked to a Jew before, maybe they're a West Banker and they maybe don't see Jews except for soldiers, they can talk to me and realize, you know what, like whatever you think about, you can talk to me. Maybe you'll change your mind about how you feel about Jewish people, maybe. If they're hateful, that is.
All right. Okay. This is a good point to end. All right. Next time, we're going to look at a map. Thank you.